first time you played Illinois, they didn't have Shannon. How are they different now with him?
Well, obviously they're more explosive. His ability to make plays in the open court, his ability to break down the defense, just make individual plays overall, and that's just not, speed dribbles either. He can get to the basket and hurt you, get to the free throw line, but he also does a great job of kind of freezing you when he does that and shoots his step back threes or just his catch and shoot threes. So very talented, very versatile, skilled. Each year he's gotten better in college, and throw him in there with Damask and Coleman Hawkins and all the guys that they have. It's a tough matchup.
Keeping him out of transition is just a matter of being good on offense.
Yeah, I think taking care of the basketball, making good decisions, taking good shots is key against them. Obviously, keeping them off the offensive glass. They're a very good offensive rebounding team. I would say those areas right there are probably the most important when playing Illinois, but really they're the most important when playing anybody, right? Take care of the basketball and rebounding. Some pillars that really don't change, but with those guys, if you're going to give them second chance opportunities off the glass and you're going to give them runouts where they have primary breaks and they have numbers and advantages, you're going to foul out, they're going to go to the free throw line a lot.
Just a short turnaround now, obviously, after a late emotional night the other night and having to go on the road to play one of your biggest games of the year from a prestige opponent perspective. Is this kind of like an NCAA tournament situation here?
Yeah, well, you're facing two NCAA tournament teams too. So you're hoping that your experiences prepare you for the Big Ten tournament and prepare you for the NCAA tournament. But yeah, that's sometimes the schedule can help you, and sometimes the schedule can go a little bit against you. But they had to go on the road, so even though they played an earlier game, they still had to travel. So obviously, you'd rather play your game at home when you're playing people. But I think that's the challenge, is to be able to go to Champaign and play well and try to get a victory.
You talked about having to be efficient on offense. It's a situation like in Alabama or in Arizona where you're going to have to outscore them to win the game.
Right. Yeah, no question about it. Just keep giving yourself chances, keep setting your defense. If you're constantly playing in defensive transition, you're going to make it harder on yourself. If you're going to give up, second chance opportunities. But no, it's a good comparison because Illinois is right along the lines, with an Alabama and with Arizona in terms of their talent and their ability to score the basketball. They've proven that they can score the basketball no matter where the game is. Neutral games, away games, home games. Illinois is going to put a lot of points up on the board.
Is there a human element that you almost have to defend against, that this is the one game left on your schedule that wouldn't disrupt end goals, you could argue? You could still win the Big Ten with another win. Is this a game that you kind of have to just fight against that a little bit?
I don't think so. Just because, just the pride factor. We have a lot of respect for Illinois and their players. They're very talented. And just the fact that, you want to compete and you just, you want to get a victory. You want to win for no other reason. You're not improving your resume, not helping you seed the tournament, even though all those things, are true. Just trying to be better than the guy in front of you. I think that's the one thing our guys, will look at in terms of the pride standpoint.
I think you played one of your better defensive games of the season against Michigan State. Did you view it that way? Went back and watched?
Yes and no. I thought our guards did a really good job. I thought Brayton had one of his better defensive games. I thought Lance Jones did some good things guarding the basketball. But we had breakdowns in some of our stuff that I talked about during the game. It was just pretty simple roll and replace type stuff, and just lack of awareness a couple times in what we were doing. But I thought our guards did a much better job on their guards, especially Tyson Walker and Hogarth, just not letting them get into that rhythm and get going. And obviously for us, I talked about Tyson Walker scoring 30 against us. Hogarth has had games. He's had 25 points in an NCAA tournament game. I kept referencing that. So, I thought they did a good job. I thought they did a really good job in those areas, but we weren't always connected defensively. We had some simple breakdowns.
What do you think has made Lance Jones such a fan favorite, where these fans have embraced the guy who's only going to be here 1 year, unlike anything we've ever seen?
Just his competitive spirit, his personality. I didn't think he really showed it that much other night. I think that's, he's got to be himself and go out there and have fun and smile and play. But no, he's really given us an element that we didn't have, just in terms of another guard that can handle the ball. He gives us some athleticism and some quickness to break down the defense. But he has fun when he plays. And the other night he didn't seem that way. And that's what we need from him. We need him to go out there and be himself and have fun. And I think that's why fans gravitate towards it.
You have a lot of length on your bench.
Yes.
Is that something you expect to show up at Illinois, especially against a team as big as that?
It depends. It depends on who can guard certain people. I think that matchup's going to be important for us, but it's also important for us to have, the offensive firepower out there that can help us. I think that balance. So you just go off a feel in terms of, what you need and what you think you need. And obviously when we go to our bench, sometimes it can get cut, pretty dry in terms of this guy's an offensive guy, this guy's a defensive guy. So, we'll see. We'll see how, things unfold. We'll see how things go. Sometimes foul trouble dictates it for you. But, I feel confident in any of the guys we put in.
Gene Katie came out the other night. There's been a lot of on your kind of evolution as a coach, but do you still feel like you're doing things similarly in some ways, and what have you kind of, where you see yourself as a former, obviously,
right? Yeah, well, the game's changed in 20 years. Like, the game's a lot different now than it was when he stopped coaching. So I think you got to be able to change and adapt with the game, but also there's certain things in terms of your mindset, your approach. He really laid the foundation for the blueprint of our program. And anybody can have a good team, but can you have a good program? And that really entails, do you play hard? Do you guys, play together? Do you stay connected? Do you run a clean program? Do you graduate your players? That's what a good program is. The guys that win and cheat, that's not a good program. It's embarrassing. And so the people that don't care about their players graduating, that's embarrassing. Like, you have to be the total package, and he was the total package. He did a great job in instilling that discipline in players and making sure they go to class, and then getting guys to sacrifice for the team, so you could ultimately win. It's a hard thing to do. It's a real hard thing to do. Role definition is very difficult, but he was fabulous at that. So there's so many things that I've taken from him, but there's differences, and then how he coached and how I coached, but it was also 20 years ago. So I think the differences lie in how the game has changed.
A couple of questions, Christian, the one I heard before. You mentioned Lance maybe not playing with the same enthusiasm, joy, whatever it was, the other night. You talking about that? You get any insight?
I said I did. I answered the question while he was talking.
Any theories as to why?
Well, you'd have to ask him. I just kind of gave him what I thought from watching his body language. Didn't like he was having a lot of fun up there. So you got to make it fun, man. You got to go out there no matter what happens. Bad calls, shots don't go in. You got to be yourself. Everyone's different, right? So just making him aware is all I was doing. He's the one that's got to figure it out.
Kind of with him, you have a great asset in his speed. But is there a balance where you want him to use that, but you want him to slow the hell down at times too, where he goes too fast?
Well, I like it when he uses his speed in the open court. He seems to make more plays that way and get to the rim. Even that drive he had late in the game and took on a couple guys right there. I didn't like the 3 1-on-4. I didn't like that late in the game. That wasn't a very good decision. But I like it when he attacks in the open court and he gets to the rim. He normally, makes those plays. So.
Is it hard to take a whole bunch from the last time you played Illinois with obviously Shannon being back?
Right.
And then it was kind of a really uneven game where you guys were really good for 30 minutes and then the last few they
Well, yeah, he obviously makes them a much more balanced team, but he gives them an element, kind of like Jay Nivey gave us in the open court, where it's really, really hard to stop him. So you can't give him a lot of those possessions. You got to try to load up and stop him. But no, I think you can take some things from Damask and their other guys in terms of how hard they crash the glass, how hard they play, and you just have so many weapons. He adds to it. Like he can create, he can start plays, he can finish plays. But no, I think there's some things to take away. I thought at the end of the game I don't know if we got tired or lazy or what the right word is, we just started fouling people. And we had to do a better job in terms of how we were defending them and how we decided to defend them. So hopefully we can make some corrections there. But really the corrections are going to lie as the game progresses, right? And I think that's where some adjustments are made. You can't, be putting people at the free throw line.
Just the combination of Shannon and Damask, both big, versatile guys. How big of a challenge is it defensively? Kind of reminds me of when they had Malcolm Hill and I think it was Kendrick, none at the same time.
Yeah.
You only had one Raphael.
Right. Yeah, it's like I said, it just just makes them even more dangerous from an offensive standpoint, but it also helps them defensively. Terrence Shannon does a good job guarding the basketball, and you go with the length and the athleticism that they already have. But yeah, it's a really good 1-2 punch, but it's not their only two guys. Like they got a bunch of players. They got guys that can play that come off the bench, and so it's just one of those team efforts. Like we're gonna have to do a good job of defending. Purdue's gonna have to do a good job of defending Illinois. It's not just gonna be one guy guarding one guy on their team. It's gonna take our whole team to be able to defend.